From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Just hours after fireworks lit up the skies, Mother Nature appears to be planning more sky shows today. Unfortunately, these could involve plenty of lightning, severe wind, hail, and possibly even tornadoes. Meteorologist Brian Vandergraff is here tracking today's threats. Brian?
Yeah, yesterday was a good chunk of the middle portion of the nation. A little bit further south today, we're talking from Denver down to Amarillo, Wichita, Tulsa, Kansas City, Little Rock, St. Louis, and all the way up to Chicago. We're anticipating some showers and thunderstorms to get going around the middle portion of the day, but damaging wind gusts are our big threat, as well as some large hail. These will continue to kind of progress through this area into the evening, some of which those could be on the stronger side. Watches and potentially some warnings are a possibility through later in the day. This whole area of unsettled weather will then shift to the east and southeast as we head through tomorrow. So a good chunk of the nation will be on alert through much of the upcoming week. Angela?
Thanks for the information. Independence Day was hardly a holiday for firefighters out west. They are battling stubborn fires in several states. Two of the largest are in Washington state. Hundreds of people have been evacuated from their homes. Several homes have already burned to the ground, and we are tracking the developments with the Whiskey Fire in California, along with the Tunnel and Mason County fires in Washington state. That's where we start with reporter Ryan Sims.
This is the 4th of July that really is not ending on a festive note here in Shelton, with many people coming here to the Red Cross wondering if they even have a home that is still standing. Fire crews relied on an all-out air arsenal to try to contain this blaze. A high-flying show of acrobatics in the effort to save more than 200 homes.
I'm just hoping that there's nobody back there and nobody's getting hurt.
To make sure everyone is okay, state resources are being used to help battle this fire. Yet on the ground, people like Casey Brown Jr. did not wait to help those who needed to evacuate.
Kept going down the road, found the sheriff. He told me do what I can to help. So here I am.
Around Rainbow Lake, several roadblocks kept people from completing their 4th of July plans. The result, some drivers faced detours that took them more than 10 miles away.
I'm on an electric car with a short battery, so I might have to go home and get the big truck and then drive around.
People who live in this area tell Como News they did worry that this summer would see its share of wildfires. Yet with more than 200 evacuations happening on the 4th of July, they say this is too much, too soon.
It's getting worse and worse every year. It really is. It's just as fast as it's happened. Everything's catching on fire.
Once this fire is contained comes the investigation into how it started even in the first place, and if fireworks from the 4th of July were part of the reason why it broke out in the first place.
And the so-called tunnel fire has burned more than 500 acres along the Columbia River Gorge. That's near the Washington-Oregon border. At least 10 homes have been destroyed. It started on Sunday morning, but the cause is still unknown right now. Firefighters say it could take until next month to get it fully contained, and the weather is not cooperating here. Temperatures are expected to hit 100 degrees today. Meantime, one person is dead after a tractor crash sparked the Whiskey Fire in Central California. Myra Franco has that story.
Fire deputies say a tragic crash involving a 65-year-old man who did not survive.
So the report I received was that he had yelled out that he had lost his brakes and then crashed into an object. The tractor had rolled and he was unfortunately killed at the scene, and resulting in a fire.
Around 8 in the evening, CAL FIRE reported the Whiskey Fire remained at 48 acres and is 15% contained. Sarah Gracie with the Sierra National Forest says fire crews have a good handle on the wildfire so far.
The sooner you can jump on a fire like this, it's honestly the best. We have the resources, and being in unified command with the National Forest and CAL FIRE is going to lend us to have the best response.
Even though it's looking good, Sheriff Tyson Polk says don't let your guard down if you live in an area where evacuation warnings or orders are taking place.
We encourage people to always have a plan, be ready, pay attention to what's going on around them. As we have seen in the past, things can turn on a dime and become a critical situation.
Independence Day storms brought strong winds and heavy rains to New Jersey. All that water flooded a shopping center parking lot in Union Township. You can see the man walking in water right there. This is not far from Liberty Newark International Airport. As you can see, The water was up to some doors in some cases of many of those cars and just flooded out that parking lot. Earlier in the weekend, a tornado touched down near Lexington, Kentucky. Phil Pendleton has that story.
A tornado warning was issued Sunday that Albert Buck and his family say they took very seriously.
As I come back through my living room, all my porch furniture on the back porch started blowing away, and I started hearing metal ripping, and I took off and got in the basement with my wife and kids. And
a big part of his roof is gone. It was taken off and blown in several different directions. There's also damage to the side of the home. It was confirmed as an EF1 tornado. Winds of about 105 miles an hour.
You see the insulation, but we also see some of the backside rotation. The winds coming around the backside caused some damage up here on the garage. You actually see some of the insulation sort of splattered against the wall there.
There was a lot of damage in places, not so much in others. Take this swing set, for example, where the flimsy tent above wasn't even touched, but the swing set right beside it was knocked down completely. None of his neighbors had much damage. One woman said all she lost was a shutter.
Just thank God we was all right, because I can rebuild the house back. It ain't no big deal as far as the house goes. I mean, my wife, my kids, and myself was okay. That was the most important part.
A soggy summer spells trouble for Maine farmers. Many are losing money because of delayed crops. Owen Kingsley's in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, talking to farmers who are relying on the community to buy the produce that they do have.
On these wet and rainy days, Jordan's farm can't pick their crops, so they can't work. Sales are down, and concerns of more rain could make things worse.
That we're behind in several products.
Crops at Jordan Farm in Cape Elizabeth are slow growing.
You kind of try to work with the weather as it comes, but this is getting a little aggravating.
Penny Jordan imagines what would happen to her fields if this rainfall continues in the weeks ahead.
There would be a lake down there. It's called Spurwink River. It would be at high tide, you would see a lake.
Not only are they losing out on crops to sell, their workers can't pick in these conditions. Wet and muddy fields make it almost impossible.
You want your workers to be able to work and get a good paycheck every week. And when it rains and you go, sorry, we can't work, we have people who are depending on us for livelihood.
About half of their workers have missed chances to make money this summer.
Weekends have been really bad. Most pick-your-own operations that I've heard, it's like, oh my God, not another weekend like this.
Maxwell's farm across town had a delayed start Monday due to the rain in the forecast. Luckily for them, their fields were filled once the sun came out.
This year overall was hard for growing. The berries like a lot of water, but this is a little bit more than we would like.
This is nerve-wracking. Video capturing a shark swimming amongst beachgoers on Navarre Beach in Florida on Monday. People are seen rushing to get out of the water as the shark circles that area. Look at this. Christy Cox, the woman who actually shot this video, said the shark was clearly trying to feed on a school of fish and later made its way back to the coast. But there are no reports of anyone being bitten by the shark, but you can see what's happening there in the water. This video, of course, is always a very good reminder to be very alert when you're out on the beach and in the water. Also, NOAA is reporting the average temperature on Earth Monday was the warmest ever recorded period at 62.62 degrees. That beats the old record of 62.46 reached both last July and August of 2016. Now, researchers think the heat is due in part, of course, to the combination of climate change and also El Nino. NOAA has been tracking global temperatures since around 1880. Now let's check to see the temperatures in cities across the country today. We're going to start in San Antonio and the threat of scattered thunderstorms today. The high, though, will be 92, and believe me, that is a lot better than what they've been getting, those temperatures in the triple digits over the past few weeks. No rain in Bay City, Michigan on the shores of Lake Huron. Sunny skies there and a high of 91 degrees. Now we're going to take you to Macon, Georgia, where rain is in the forecast today. The high will be just around 85 degrees. And finally, we visit beautiful Lake George north of Albany, New York. Is looking like rain. There's as well today, and a high we're looking at around 86 degrees. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we look at how California's wild winter is still impacting Yosemite National Park. We'll have that story and much more when we come back.
A couple showers and storms scattered about through your night on 4th of July, but most areas you can see are going to remain dry. As we head into the day Wednesday, high pressure builds all across the Northeast. Most areas are going to stay dry, but you can see a few pop-up showers are possible. A little bit of instability develops as we head into the afternoon on Wednesday. Thursday overall is looking pretty solid as well. Let's get a look at the high temperatures for your Wednesday. We're looking at 80s for most, some 90s inland.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Up and down the 95 corridor, starts rain-free for back to work for some folks after the long holiday weekend. Our latest weather maker, a withering cold front south and east, still providing an outside chance of a midday or afternoon pop-up shower, maybe even a rumble of thunder, but it should be isolated. Still pretty hot, though, with high temperatures generally in the 90s. That's the scene here.
Good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Michael Arenberg with a look at your Southeast regional forecast for this Wednesday, July 5th. We are looking at skies starting out sunny to partly cloudy, but there'll be a lot of air mass showers and thunderstorms firing up along the sea breezes near Florida and across parts of the interior during the afternoon and evening hours. And some storms, like you see in red, could have heavy rain and frequent lightning across the region. Temperatures, like you'd expect, hot everywhere, up 80s across the interior, 90s for much of Florida.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Heading to Yosemite sometime this summer? Well, get ready for long lines at the gate, bumper-to-bumper traffic inside the park, and searching endlessly to find a place to park. Rich Rodriguez takes a look at how the weather is partially to blame.
Visitors from near and far are finding it can take hours just to get past the gates to Yosemite. A park ranger says an early start makes a difference.
We're recommending people get to the park as early as they can, preferably before 8 a.m., especially in the weekends.
Once you're inside Yosemite, expect bumper-to-bumper traffic all the way to the valley floor. Remember, parking is very limited.
Leave your car there for the rest of the day. Be on foot, bring a bicycle. Don't try and drive your car around the park during the day because you're going to lose your parking spot and you're going to be frustrated.
Shuttle buses are the biggest people movers in the park, but finding an open seat on the bus is another concern. The water features in the park are a big draw this year.
The park is gorgeous this year with the historic snowpack that we've had. The waterfalls are running strong. Normally they dry up by end of August or so, but I can't say for certain, but it looks like they're going to last a little bit longer this year.
The Merced River is running high in July due to the melting snowpack. Park Ranger Lyon says so far there have been 2 river rescues this season. The sights in Yosemite are breathtaking, but this summer, visitors have to leave home early to beat the crowd and enjoy the experience.
Fishing is a popular summer sport, and in West Virginia, the crayfish fish is becoming popular for anglers. Meteorologist Brandon Stovers in Charleston, West Virginia, with a look at what's making this fish so popular for fishermen.
That's nice fish. Yeah. He's about 8, 10.
8.5, 9 inches.
They may not be as popular as bass or trout, but don't overlook crappie. These members of the sunfish family don't get too big, but you can catch them in bunches.
It's nothing for me to go out and crappie fish and catch 40 to 60 fish in an evening.
Daniel catches them at Burnsville Lake, a body of water that is often overlooked too. He and his wife have owned the marina here for a few years now.
Run a snack bar kitchen here at the marina and then still run the docks here to let people moor their boats, and then we rent pontoons. There's a lot of water and not a lot of people on it, so it's nice.
The fishing is nice, too.
The last 3 state record muskie that have been caught have all come from this body of water.
Daniel got hooked on crappie fishing, though.
That's a crappie magnet.
The crappie fishing here is phenomenal. It's just, numbers are huge. The gear that is required to crappie fish is a lot less money than bass fishing. You know, you just need a couple good rods, a handful of weighted jigs, and then some rubber plastic baits. And then you can also fish with minnows. A lot of people do that as well.
A crappie fishing tournament was started on this lake last year, and it's already grown.
And I decided, well, we'll just do a crappie series, try to do one a month. Skip a couple months here in the summertime when it's hot. It's hard on the fish to try to keep them alive. And then we'll kick it back off in September and go into the fall.
Even if you don't fish, you can camp nearby, hike, and even have a nice evening at the marina.
We don't mind if people come down, they get food or they get an ice cream. They can sit, hang out, relax as long as they want to. If you want more seclusion, more relaxation, and not a lot of people, this is the lake for you.
We are currently in hurricane season. Our team is diving into the factors that are needed for a hurricane to form. Recently, meteorologist Lindsay Storrs posted about hurricane ingredients on Instagram.
The 2023 hurricane season is well underway. We've already had 2 named storms so far this year. So what does it take to form some of these powerful systems? Well, there's 4 main ingredients you need to whip up either a tropical storm or a hurricane. First of all, you need a water temperature above 80 degrees. Second, you need converging winds that force the air upward. These converging winds take a lot of water vapor from that warm water surface and put it in the atmosphere above, giving us our third ingredient, abundant moisture in the atmosphere. Lastly, you need the upper level winds to blow in roughly the same direction so that the storm is not torn apart. So there you go. If you have those 4 main ingredients, it's pretty likely that you could see tropical development.
Well, last week, astronomers from Nanograve Gate announced the discovery of a new kind of gravitational wave. The waves are bigger than anything they have seen before and could provide a window into the past. Emily Gracie sat down with the NASA astronomer Michelle Thaler to get a better understanding of how this discovery was made and what it means.
All the way 100 years ago, Albert Einstein said that what gravity really is, and this is incredible, is an actual bending of space and time itself. And that if 2 things that are like really massive, like 2 stars orbiting each other, they would create waves in space and time itself that actually travel out at the speed of light. And these waves were detected by other groups, most famously a group called LIGO. They detected gravitational waves that happened as dying stars and black holes spiral into each other before they collide. But this was something different. And interestingly, it's actually a little more low tech. How do you find that space around you is bending with these sort of gentle, big waves created by giant black holes? And that's what they found.
So how did they find it?
Yes. Okay, how would you do this? So like I said, this was interestingly low tech. The sky is full of sort of strange objects that we actually were discovered in the 1960s by a woman named Jocelyn Bell. And they are objects that we now know are collapsed dead stars. And a lot of these stars spin very, very quickly. So they're called pulsars because they pulse. I mean, almost like a lighthouse beam going around. We see it turn on and off. As these big waves come by that actually compress and expand space, really, space and time itself being compressed and expanded, these pulsars, with their very, very consistent rates, get a little farther away from us and a little closer to us. An incredible thing that we live in this rippling environment, probably created by giant black holes close to the beginning of the universe.
Why should the general public care about this?
Everything we do in astronomy goes back to sort of the question of where do we come from? So these gravity waves may eventually help us answer questions like what set off the Big Bang? Why did the universe expand? And did something else exist before the Big Bang?
If you like these types of interviews, you should check out our podcast, Off the Radar. This week's episode is all about ocean exploration and submersibles. New episodes drop every single Tuesday. You can find Off the Radar on Apple Music, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now, time for a short break. But first, a look at July 4th fireworks from Washington, D.C. last night.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. Still cool across the plains, 70s for highs, but hot out ahead of this rain. And we've got some 90s across the Ohio Valley with scattered thunderstorms buffering the two of those. Now that rain does move its way closer to the south and also towards the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes for Thursday. A lot of 70s and comfortable temperatures across the plains. And as we get into your Friday, got some stronger storms potentially there to the south.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're waking up really warm and humid from Corpus to Brownsville back over into New Orleans. Even a little warmer than usual as you're up across North Texas. We'll be watching a weak cold front stretch across into Oklahoma. That could bring some rain-cool temperatures all the way across the northern portion of the region. Scattered showers down to the south will also help keep it a little cooler. Temperatures, nonetheless, will be pretty warm and toasty. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. We've got very hot weather across the desert Southwest. These temperatures getting into triple digits, bringing in excessive heat warnings, but heat also stretching up into the Pacific Northwest, getting into the 90s. We very likely will have record heat across parts of Oregon and Washington. Also, thunderstorms breaking out across the Rockies. That's what's happening, and that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
You have probably heard the term heat index over and over again by your local meteorologist, but what exactly does it mean and how is it determined? Meteorologist Ryan Mirando breaks it down.
Welcome, welcome. You are now one of my students and enrolled in my meteorology school. So let's go over our first lesson. It's about the heat index. It's an actual calculation, the way the temperature feels, since we have a lot of us experiencing some dangerous heat right now. And this is our formula. So go ahead and get out your calculator, start plugging the numbers in, negative 42.379, and add that to the product of the air temperature and 2.04. Okay. Honestly, I don't even do this. We luckily have technology and computers that do it for us. Not only is this easier, but it's also faster when we have complex equations. So we put this through the computer, and this is what it spits out. We've got the temperature here up at the top, and then we've got relative humidity as you go down. So let's say the air temperature outside was right around 98 degrees. You go down what the humidity would be, say it's about 50%, and that makes a heat index, or the way the actual temperature feels, at 113. Congratulations, you are now a weather nerd.
Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out how first responders stay safe in extreme heat. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Wednesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.